Hi, my name is Paige. I'm Jamie's birth mother. We can start with my meeting Jamie's birth father, Michael is his name, 21 years ago, well, a little longer than that. He and I had dated for about 6 years, and in those 6 years, I became pregnant 3 times. And the first 2 pregnancies, I had had abortions, and by the 3rd pregnancy, there was no way I was going to have another abortion after the first 2. They were bad experiences. So I decided to look for other options with this pregnancy.
Well, in the early days, and I mean early, like just graduating college, your mom and I always knew that we were going to get married very soon. So in fact, got married right after I graduated. In fact, Mom couldn't wait to graduate, so she decided to just end her college years a little bit short because she wanted to get married, and we were very interested in starting a family. We decided to start doing some foster care. We weren't really ready to start a family ourselves, but we said it would be a good experience to do that. Although it was difficult at times when the kids would leave, because especially the ones we've had for a while, we had some children up to a year, and then they left us, so that was a little tough. And when we brought Jason home, he was just like any other foster child we brought home, but he wound up staying very long. He was with us like a year and a half or so. And during that time, we knew that he wasn't going to be reunited with his birth parents. So we started thinking at that point, well, maybe there's an opportunity to adopt. At that point, we didn't really know much about our infertility and if there was any major problems. We just knew that, well, we weren't getting pregnant yet, but this would be a nice way to segue into a family. So we were able to do that. We went to court and we were able to adopt Jason. In the meantime, we had a lot of testing going on to see what was going on with the infertility problems, and never really was able to pinpoint the issue. I had some surgeries, Mom had some surgeries. Nothing really seemed to improve. There was nothing ever conclusive that we found. Didn't know what the source of the problem was. So over time we gradually realized that we probably would not have our own biological children. And to me that wasn't the end of the world. We were very happy with Jason in our lives, but knowing that we wanted a sibling for Jason, and Jason was getting to be 4 or 5 years old, we thought it would be nice to try to adopt. We ran into numerous challenges in trying to go the traditional route. Most agencies didn't want to talk to us since we already had one adopted child, and we got answers like, well, you should be grateful you have one. There's people who don't have any, so you should be satisfied, or we'll put you on a waiting list, and in about 5 to 10 years you might hear from us. So that's where we were feeling quite frustrated with those kinds of answers, and we looked to the open adoption process, which we had heard about, and went into that somewhat tentatively, but we thought we would give it a shot.
So I thought about, adoption, and didn't know anything at that time about open adoption until Michael's sister, Michelle, she found an article in a newspaper, and in the article it had mentioned private adoption, a white couple seeks a white baby, all medical and legal expenses paid. Michael's mother brought it to my attention, this article, and gave the article to me, and I walked around for maybe 2 months with this article in my pocketbook, and finally got the courage up to give them a call. As soon as I called them, I talked to Merrilee on the phone. It was a fabulous feeling right away, and we decided to meet with each other.
Well, we met in Verona Park. It was a beautiful day. We were standing out on a bridge. I was nervous as could be. It was very, very scary because, I didn't want to fall in love with somebody and, yes, adopt your baby and then have you change your mind as had happened in the past.
We had gone through a similar scenario. It was probably about a year before. We got right to the hospital, and walking up the steps of the hospital, we saw the birth mother's parents coming down the steps with a very strange look on their face. They walked up to us and told us that their daughter had changed her mind, and we were just devastated, left standing there on the steps of the hospital. Felt like the end of the world. It just happened. Didn't know what to do. So we definitely didn't want to go through another experience like that. But we really wanted a second child in our home and thought it was worth the gamble to go out and put ourselves out again and risk the rejection.
When I first saw this family in the park, I didn't know them, and they were total strangers to me. But as we began talking, especially Merrilee and I loved her right off the bat, and she understood my feelings about Jamie and not wanting to just place this baby anywhere and never know where she is or who she's with and how she's doing, and you know, live every day not knowing.
We left the park thinking this was an answer to a prayer, but not really knowing what would happen in the next couple months.
After meeting with them that day, we went our separate ways, and I still had their phone number with me, and thought it over some more with careful thought, and just realized that this was a good choice for the baby. So the day came, I was with Michael, and I ate a huge plate of spaghetti and a huge glass of Pepsi and went into labor. By this time I had already contacted Merrilee and let her know that yes, I was comfortable with the decision as long as they were willing to agree to allow me to stay part of the baby's life. Push, breathe, okay. But I do remember a lot of pain. It was very painful. I think she was 9 pounds, 2 ounces, something like that. And a long, like 21 inches long. And she was an absolutely beautiful baby. Just perfect. Everything about her was perfect. Her nose, I loved her little nose, but she was just perfect. On their way to the baby's nursery area, they had stopped at the father's waiting room and let Michael see her. And his first words were, "She's so little." She's so little. Pete and Merrilee came to the hospital a couple days later. My sister came with an outfit for the baby to wear. We had to leave the hospital, the premises of the hospital, before we could place the baby in Merrilee's arms, because the hospital at that time, 21 years ago, they did not look at open adoption as an option for young girls. So we had to leave the premises and meet with the lawyer who handled everything for us to place the baby with Pete and Merrilee.
The day that we went to pick up Jamie from the hospital was really an exciting day. We had waited for that moment for so long, many years actually, and couldn't believe that it was really happening.
The day that we went to pick her up, it was very, very hot outside, and we were across the street from the hospital with your sister and my sister Joni and Jerry and Jason, and you and Kathy were in the front seat, and you got in with the baby, and I was in the back seat of a little red car, squashed into the back seat of a little red car, and you turned
Her
around
convertible.
to give her to me, and I
convertible.
said, "Don't give it to her. Don't give her to me unless you promise never to take her back." I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. And you said, "Nope, she's your daughter. She's not my daughter. Take her and love her."
When Paige handed Jamie to my wife, we just couldn't believe it. And you know, it was really overwhelming after waiting so many years. But we still had the apprehension because we knew that through the process, over the next 90 days, Paige could change her mind.
And I guess it was probably about maybe 7 or 8 months before you saw her,
Yes.
I think.
But you sent cards to me.
I sent cards,
Always
and every
sent
time you
cards,
called,
always
I
stayed in
said,
touch.
"She's changing her mind. She wants her back." She changed her.
I
was
know.
just like,
She didn't think it was real.
No.
She did not think it was really
No.
your mom.
No.
And I kept reassuring her, "Merrilee, it's okay. She's yours. It's
and
okay."
The phone would ring, and I'd stop breathing, and I'd say to Pete, "This is it. She wants her back."
As we went into open adoption, we didn't know a lot about it. We had read some articles and didn't really know what to expect out of the whole event. I was apprehensive about how would this thing work. So for those first 90 days, we purposely didn't want a lot of contact because we were afraid if we had some contact, it might just exacerbate the situation, and Paige may see Jamie and decide that she's changed her mind. So we really were holding our breath during that whole first period. it's kind of strange in that you wanted to be as open as you could from the beginning, yet we had to be very cautious, we felt, until we got over those first 90 days. And after that, it wasn't like Paige came running over to the house and we started having parties. It seemed like a very slow, gradual build over a couple of years before we got to a point where we really had a really, truly good relationship formed with Paige, and we each got confident in each other's situations to really just be ourselves around each other.
I can't say how things would have turned out.
Right. Nobody can.
If I had kept Jamie, I have no clue how things would have turned out. But I don't even look at it like I gave her away, because I really
She's always been
didn't.
there.
I didn't just give her away. She's gone. I'm never going to see her again. That to me is giving something away.
Right.
When you give something away, you never see it again.
Right.
I didn't give something away. I placed a child with a loving family that could give her what I couldn't give her.
I can't, honestly, in
didn't want
21
Jamie to
years,
have any
I
of
can't
those.
think of any negatives.
Well,
I
that's
can't
right.
think of
That's
any
right.
time we had a problem with anything, not even something we couldn't work out or discuss. We haven't had any problems.
No.
We really haven't. We've been very, very lucky.
Well, like I said before, I think it's all because from day one, with all the kids involved,
Yeah.
including Jamie's half-sisters, it's all been honest.
Open.
And open. Hello, the big word, open.
I don't remember being told that I was adopted. It's just always been there. I've always known, and Paige has just always been a part of my life. I don't remember first meeting her or anything like that. She's just always been, Paige.
You and Peter angels from heaven for this child, and I was just a tool from that man above to place this child for you guys, to have this child for you guys.
Both of my parents are wonderful. I feel very, very lucky and very blessed that, Paige chose to place me with these people and with this family. As for my brother, Jason, he and I have never really had a very strong bond between us. I don't know if it's because we're far apart in age or because he made so many bad choices in his life and then moved out when he was 18, and now he lives in Canada and we never see him. His adoption being a closed and private one, and mine being so open and honest, I definitely think that's like an unspoken barrier between us, because he doesn't know anything about his real family, and I know everything, and anything I want to know I would be told. And I really think he somewhat hates me for that. And I wish I could change it. I really do, but I just want to yell at him, I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry. I can't change that. If I could, I would, but, I'm sorry. And I wish that wasn't something that came between us. But it is. In honesty, I think it is. My real father, Michael, I've never met. We've exchanged cards a couple of times, written to each other back and forth. And I spoke to him on the phone once at Paige's house because I was staying the night and he just happened to call. And so Paige puts me on the phone with him. I'm like, okay, hi, person I've never talked to. It was a little awkward, but it wasn't such a big deal. As for meeting him one day, it'll probably happen eventually, not now, not today, but eventually the day will come where we will meet. I'm pretty sure of it. I mean, of course I think about him, and I think what it would be like to meet him and how it must have been for him and Paige all those years ago. But looking at all of the paperwork and reading the piece of paper where he signs away his rights as my father was just kind of shocking to me in a way, because I'm definitely Daddy's little girl, but not his. Not his little girl.
Everything about it felt right, so I didn't have negative feelings about it, or bad feelings, or ever regrets. Never had any regrets for doing what I did. And to this day, I still don't. I still don't. Jamie and I have a bond, and I think we've had the bond ever since those days in the hospital together, where I would talk to her and tell her what was going on. I don't think she quite understood me at that age, 3 days old. We're all very proud of her, both of her mothers, her father, her grandparents, her 2 families. And they're all very, very proud of her. And the fact that she's accepted things so well also, emotionally, she's, I think, very stable about the whole thing. And I think mainly because everybody's been honest with her about the whole story. And I think that that's the main thing, is to be honest with everything in life. No matter what the outcome's going to be, at least you know that you were honest about every move and decision that you made. So her birth father and I are still friends. We still stay in touch with each other. We've had lunch with each other. He has a whole nother life. I have a whole nother life. I'm married with 2 children, Danielle and Rebecca, who are Jamie's half-sisters. And they also have a bond, because that was a very important factor for me, was to make sure that Jamie was a part of our lives, just like we're a part of her life. I wanted that very much so.
It's really cool that I have 2 sisters, half-sisters, of course, same mother, different fathers, but we're so alike in so many ways. When we're together, we just have a blast.
For some reason or other, I just think that we were covered and protected, and making the choice turned out to be the best thing for Jamie.